You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Haunted Histories with your host Penny G. Morgan, right here on Parasearch Radio.
Hello, you lovely lot. How are we all tonight? Well, for all those parents out there, we've only got a little while left for the school summer holidays before our loved ones, our little loved cherubs, go back to school and we start to actually get to sort of have some peace and quiet during the day and not refereeing World War III. Can you tell what kind of day I've had today? Also means I'll be able to sit and concentrate on writing blogs and doing even more research into my haunted history shows for you, so I hope you appreciate that. What's everyone been up to anyway? Anything exciting? Anyone been on holiday? Anyone want to come in the chat room and tell me what they've been up to? Yes? No? Well, I've been quite quiet. I say I've been looking after the Rugrats predominantly and just trying to battle on through, keep doing all my writing, and oh, I know what I did that you may not realise. I did an interview this week with America. Nah, and it wasn't me doing the questions. They were asking me, they were. Yes, Mr. Todd Bonner and Mr. Oops. Well, she was talking about actually having a sex change and calling herself Jean, but anyway, Gina Passante of Three Girls in the Dark on their Power Exchange show on Paramania. It was good fun, it was. Did mean me staying up until 2 a.m. Well, she started at 2 a.m, so I finished at about 3 a.m. and went to bed at about 4 a.m. because I was quite wired from the energy drink I'd foolishly been drinking. But hey ho, it was good fun, and yeah. So if you've got spare time and you're not listening to one of the brilliant Parasearch shows that are on 6 nights of the week and also available on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed to that, go do it. Toot sweet. Have a listen to me being the one being interviewed. It was actually quite good fun, I must say. So, where are we tonight? Well, this week and next week there is a correlation, shall we say, in the shows, because this week I was lucky enough to talk to the absolutely gorgeous Tammy Gyarmathy of Lost Souls Investigations, and she runs an annual event over at the Columbia, I suppose, historic mining town. And if you're ever over there in Northern California, go and have a look, because this place does sound brilliant. And her event, she's going to tell you all about it in her interview. But if you are about, go and check out her event, because I'm sure you'd enjoy it. Anyway, without further ado, let's hear the gorgeous tones of Miss Tammy Gyarmathy, and let me know what you think. Okay, and so my guest tonight, who I haven't spoken to for a while, so we've just spent the last hour and a quarter catching up on life in general, is the very beautiful and very lovely to speak to, Miss Tammy Gyarmathy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. As you know, as we've been talking for the last 75 minutes about life in general and
right.
As I'd like to do with my guests. When I haven't spoken to them for a while, it's nice to have a catch up and find out what everyone's been up to. And you've got some pretty good things going on, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been busy.
I know you can't give us too much of the information about the one, but you're going to be on the silver screen, aren't you?
Yeah, an opportunity kind of fell into my friend Chelsea in my lap, out of the heavens, basically. And we're going to be on Netflix, yes. We're filming season 1 right now. We have 3 episodes filmed. I think we have about 3 more to go. And yeah, so hopefully beginning of next year, you'll see me on television.
Awesome. I know you said you can't tell us too much about what's been going on, but as soon as you know some of the details, will you let us know so that I can?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell
it.
you that it's paranormal, of course.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a show, and we're going to be coming at the topic at a very journalistic standpoint. So very real, very raw. Not one of those jump scare, overly dramatic type shows.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be a good one. So you'll definitely want to see it.
More sort of
very factual and educational. And I think that's really important too. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about lots of different things to do with the paranormal. We'll be investigating locations and people's homes. So it's going to be a good one.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing it. So I can look at the television when my sons are sitting with me going, I know her.
Yeah.
They're impressed when I can say that I know them because they're on television, and they it impresses my 9-year-old. Not a lot impresses him, but if I can say I know someone who's on television, I get brownie points. So
definitely,
yeah.
I'm the same way. Oh, I'm friends with her.
I'll tell you what, actually, this will make you laugh. Is I was helping one of the owners of Parasearch Radio. Her son was doing a project on World War II. And she was like, look, I'm not an expert on it. Tell you what, I'll speak to a friend of mine who World War II and the Blitz and everything is one of her areas of expertise. And so she got him on Skype, and I was helping him with his homework, and he was saying, oh, my mummy does this show called Haunted Histories. And I was like, no, sweetheart, that's my show. That's the show I do. And he went, you're the Haunted Histories lady. And I went, yeah. Oh, wow, I've got the Haunted Histories lady. And I'm thinking, oh, bless. Kind of made me smile. It did my ego a little boost as well.
It really does, actually. When I get you're the girl on Ghost Adventures, I'm like, yeah, that's me.
You see, we haven't had that here in the UK yet, but I've told you that as soon as I see it on television, I will be screenshotting your image and sending you it and going, ha ha, I see you.
Yeah, it's a good episode. You're going to like it.
Good.
Definitely.
Where is it the Ghost Adventures one was?
We did it at Hotel Leger.
And hasn't that got gold mining links?
Yes. I've been investigating that hotel for over 5 years now.
Right.
So, very well in tune with the spirits there. They are me. Like, actually, when other teams come in, I've heard that they get EVPs asking for me.
Oh, wow.
So, which is really cool. But, yeah, I was happy. I was happy that they picked up that location. Worked with the producers for months on that. And
yeah.
Zach told the story very well, very accurately, which was I was very happy about.
I'm glad, because sometimes the stories these shows tell aren't always historically
right. And
accurate.
I sent them, I mean, all the history they had, I forwarded to them, and they did a really good job, and I'm really happy with that. So
yeah, I have shouted at the
fun.
Television before with some of these shows when they're getting it, they're believing the hype, they're believing the stuff that's been said, like to propaganda about places, yet they haven't actually done their actual proper research.
Factual, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I do shout at the Television. So, the other thing you've been very, very busy on is the event that you're running, that you told me there's some news about that's just been finalised today.
Yeah, so Ghost Miners of Columbia 2, last year we did it around the same time, September. The event was a huge hit. I mean, everybody experienced something. We had 6 locations to investigate. This year we're going to have 8. Wow. And it was just phenomenal because everybody experienced like a really good experience. And that doesn't happen very often in big events because you do have so many people that it kind of messes things up. But when you have multiple locations, it's good because you can split them up in smaller groups. And I think that it's typically more successful that way. So we decided to do a part 2 because it was so successful. And sadly, we're having to move the date due to some unforeseen circumstances. But it's still a go. We're still doing it. All of the guest speakers are still involved. I'm actually gained a couple of new ones, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, so we're going to do it January 18th through the 20th in Columbia, California. Okay. We'll have a fun meet and greet. And then we will, on the Saturday, we'll have the conference, all the guest speakers, vendors. And this time we're going to do a 6-hour investigation in 8 different locations. Wow. So it's going to be exciting for sure. So
who are some of the speakers?
So we have Santiago Cerullo, who is in The Walking Dead. We have Eileen Dietz. She was in The Exorcist. She was actually the face of Pazuzu. And she was the one who actually acted the scenes in the really aggressive possession scenes. She was Linda's double, basically. She's an amazing woman. And The Exorcist is my favorite movie, so I have to have her there. We have Brandy Green from Ghost Hunters International. We have Patrick Doyle from Ghost Mine. We have Jay Blumick, who was a producer for Ghost Mine, and I think a couple other ghost shows as well. Harvey Altos, he is a very well-known remote reader. Mary and Jay Yates, good friends of mine. They've been on numerous television shows as well. Jesus Martinez and his cousin Pablo, they're really good friends of mine. They've had some amazing experiences that they're going to be talking about at the event. Who else? There's so many people.
The list, I must admit, I have seen the list, and it's I tell you what's nice about the list of your speakers is it's not just the same kind of person. Do you get what I mean? It's
very diverse.
It's very, very diverse. The fact you have got sort of, horror actors there. You've got producers. You've got well-known investigators. You've got bloggers. You've got, there's something for everyone. It's not just one type of person.
And I like it too because having a producer there, we get to watch the shows and the excitement of them, but then now people get to learn about the behind the scenes part of it, all the work that goes into it, because it's not easy.
Now I have got a bone to pick with. I have got a bone to pick with you though, Mrs.
Okay.
I don't see any British people on that list.
Do you want to come? I can have you there, and you can do a live podcast from it.
I will have a word with my husband and see if I can go out in January to Colombia.
See, there's a few months. You can totally make it happen.
Oh God, he'd kill me if I went away to America as well next year. Oh my. No, I was only joking. I was joking, but I did notice no British people.
I don't know very many. It's not my fault.
It is an amazing joking aside. It is an absolutely amazing lineup of people.
And
I know you've been working very hard on it. I know you have, because I know we've talked about it. And
yeah,
but these locations, these 8 different places. What do you know? What the places are going to be? Because we haven't started talking about Columbia yet, but Columbia isn't just one building, is it? It's a historically preserved gold mining town.
Yeah, and honestly, I just recently found out that only 15% of the gold has been extracted from there.
Yeah,
but sadly, now that it is state owned, nobody can get the rest of that gold. So there's a lot of gold there that cannot be touched, which is very unfortunate, but it is okay.
The state wants everything, let's be honest.
Yeah, right? I'm like, damn it. But no, it's a fun little town. I've been visiting there since I was a child.
Right.
With my family, but they do a lot of fun things with schools. They have a lot of field trips there. The historical hotels and buildings. The town itself is usually only open until about 5 p.m. And then it's pretty dead. So it's really good for us paranormal investigators because the town literally shuts down at 5. So, you have the run of the mill, and which is really good because there's a lot of fun locations. So if anyone's ever interested in actually just investigating there, you just have to get permitted from the rangers, and it's an hourly fee, but it's a fun place. It really is, and for what we're charging for the whole weekend, you're really getting a great deal because, I mean, just to go and investigate, there's an hourly fee plus other fees. So, you're getting a whole lot more than just an investigation with the event. But we have, so on the list of places to investigate, we have the old Wells Fargo building. We
Which
have...
is a bank, isn't it?
Yeah. The courthouse. We have 2 fire stations. We have the Wilson McConnell House, which is amazingly active. We have the Martinez House, which I just recently investigated for the first time, and all I can say is wow. Okay. Going to have a good time there. We have the old schoolhouse.
Yeah.
I know there's one more. It's just not coming to my mind right now.
That's okay.
Can't think of the other one. And then we also have the 2 historic hotels. People can have a good time in after the fact too. So yeah, it's going to be a good time, and every location is super active, which is awesome.
Well, we'll talk about the locations, the different locations, and why they're active, and some of the experiences that you've had in them. But one of the things that fascinated me when I started doing my research on the California Gold Rush, apart from the fact that I know the area that you're from is slap bang in the middle of it, so it's kind of destiny that you'd almost be involved in something to do with it, because I would have thought most of the history around the whole sort of San Francisco and northern, I suppose, the Sierra Nevada bit of California. I'm describing it with my hands here, which nobody can see, but I'm kind of drawing a map of California and putting my hand like a weather girl. But that's where the gold rush pretty much happened, because and this is something I never knew is the term the mother lode, which you always think of as being like a big hit of something. It actually translates back to a seam of, or a principal vein of gold or silver ore, and the mother lode in this respect was near, towards the western edge of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, which incorporated places like Sacramento and sort of San Francisco in the area that it all was part of. I found this quite fascinating because I love learning something new, and I never knew this. Now, it started in, what was it, 1848, the actual gold rush started when it was January 1848 when James W. Marshall discovered gold at Sutter's Mill in Coloma. How close is Coloma to, say, Columbia and that sort of area?
Coloma, they're all kind of in the same... Well, Coloma's a little further out, I want to say. I would think maybe an hour from each other.
Right.
Yeah, so not too far.
Okay. So that was where it all started off, and then gradually more and more people came over, and they were known as the 49ers, because they all came over in 1849, and you had people not only from the US, you had Europe, masses of people came over from China, so you had a massive influx of the Chinese, Australia, all those kind of things, and it's something, I think they said it was the largest mass migration in US history, and brought over 300,000 people to California. Which is a massive amount.
a lot of people, and there was a lot of, and that, like in the Mulikami Hill where I investigate Leger, through like Colombia, I mean, you had so many French, and you just had so many different people, you know, and all the underground tunnels for all the Asian people to go through, which I don't understand that part of it, but yeah, I mean, it's just, the history's so thick, and these towns, like, people are just like, "Ooh, I've never heard of that place," and it's just like, there's so much rich history, there's so much to learn about it, and it's such a big part of our history, but a lot of people don't know about it.
No, I mean, I'll admit to it, I knew little bits about the gold rush, but this it's one of the things I love about doing this show, and I've said to you before, is because I have to delve quite deep into things. I learn stuff. For example, when I did the show on the Arrowdale Asylum in Australia, near Melbourne, I didn't realise that was due to a gold rush. That was due to the Australian gold rush. All of that was built. I didn't even know there'd been a gold rush in Australia. So, it's all this kind of thing, which is absolutely fascinating. And so the gold rush started, and it was in March of 1850 that Dr. Thaddeus Hildreth and his brother George discovered gold in what would become Colombia, I believe.
I think that is correct.
Yeah, and they sort of basically almost made like a tent town, I suppose, for want of better, like a shanty town, that gradually became Colombia, and all the thousands and thousands of people who came to Colombia. But when you mentioned that there's 2 fire stations in Colombia. Now, Colombia as a place was destroyed twice by fire, wasn't it?
Yes.
In 1854 and in 1857. And in 1854 it was because of the fact that everything had been built with wood and there was no mains water to the town. And it was, I don't know how to pronounce it, Tuolumne?
Tuolumne, yeah.
Thank you.
Tuolumne.
Yep. Well, I will get my own back on you with some of these places when you come to the UK, and I'm going to put UK places in front of you and see how they're pronounced. But yeah, they set up a water company because the fact that in 1854 Colombia was destroyed and had to be rebuilt, and then in 1857 there was a massive fire again. So what kind of energies do these fire stations have?
Okay, so the new one, because we had a new ranger the last time we went and investigated, and he took us into a bunch of new locations. So my location itinerary might grow. It's just what they'll let us do. But he took us into the old fire station, which was very small. The energy wasn't very heavy, but the fire chief at the time hung himself in his office in there. Okay. So he for some reason he did not like women very much. So when women go in there, the tales are that he'll pull on their hair or he'll mess with them some way physically to let them know he doesn't want them there. When I was in there, I did feel kind of a sadness. But we didn't get too much in that location. And it was such a small space, we didn't stay in it for very long. But we did get some hits on the K2, and I think maybe like 1 EVP. But other people that have been in there, have experienced their hair getting pulled or being pushed or, stuff like that. So maybe the night we went in, it wasn't popping. It's paranormal. You can never tell when you're going to get a lot of activity or not.
They're not performing monkeys, are they? That's the problem.
No, not at all. So, but the energy was definitely off in that building, and which makes sense because of the suicide. So, but that was a fun little place. And then the newer firehouse, that place. So the first time we did the event there, the group that I took in, we all experienced, we saw like a shadow figure a few times, and we were getting like noises and like just a lot of movement in there. And we knew, there's something here. So this last time that we went, we had a much smaller group of people, and there's this doorway in the back. And I kept seeing something, and I'm like, there's something in there. And so I went back there, and there was this string hanging, and there was no breeze. There was nothing to make this piece of like material move, but it's swaying back and forth. And I'm like, okay. I said, if somebody's here, let me know. And then it threw a rock at me. Oh. So I'm like, okay, hi. Got a little startled. I'm like, all right. Because I'm like back there by myself. Everybody else is like in the very front of the fire station. And then like the old fire engine kind of blocked me from everyone else. So I'm like, okay. So I was ready to walk back, and I'm like, no, I'm going to break this out. So I'm like, okay, talk to me or show yourself to me or whatever. And like, I'm going back and forth with this thing. And then one of my friends comes over, and he has a video camera. And he's not the type of person that like is aggravating or like tries to push the spirits, provoking, but I guess is the best word to use. But he just has a very stern voice.
Yeah.
So when he speaks, like it can kind of sound that way. So he was like, "Show yourself." This, I don't even like know what happened, but it happened so fast. Like something fell. It sounded like a big piece of like maybe metal or a big piece of wood had fallen on the ground. But in the midst of it falling, it hit my leg and it hit his leg. So I screamed because it hit my leg. And mind you, I don't scream on investigation, but that night I think I screamed 3 times. So,
Okay.
Yeah, it was just very like caught me off guard, I guess. But we turned the flashlight on. There is absolutely nothing on the floor.
Right.
So we're like, what the hell was that? Because everybody heard it.
Yeah.
And we felt it. But there was nothing there. So we're just like, what the hell just happened? Like, I don't understand. So, and we got some good EVPs in there, and we're just like, holy crap, that was crazy, because you felt the energy too. Like, when you're rushed up on by a spirit, like you feel that, and we did. But it just all happened so fast, and there was just no way to explain it at all. So that, and then, like I said, a lot of shadow figures in the fire station. That's kind of been most people's experiences in that location. And the Wilson McConnell house. Oh my. So that place is kind of mixed. Like you get some very sad energy. You get some very hostile energy. A lot of negativity in that house, and every single person experienced something. I think the first group that went in saw a full-bodied apparition. They were going up the stairs up to the second level, and this woman was coming down the stairs. And my friend Ox, who's the same guy who's got the very stern voice, saw it. And he went to run back down the stairs, and my poor little friend Lisa almost got toppled. But, they saw this woman. And I saw somebody. So when you go up the stairs, there's like a little landing, and there's like a closet.
Yeah.
And I'm going up the stairs, and I look into the closet, and I see something peer out at me. And I'm like, okay. And then so I finished going upstairs, and that energy just kind of stuck with me. Like it was a very sad feeling. So I mean, we saw that, lots of EVPs in there, lots of noises, and like, you get the EVPs, but then you also get like the audible. Like you can actually hear with your ears someone talking. Like that happens a lot in the Wilson McConnell house as well.
I mean,
had
this
one of
house,
our cases.
I'm looking at a picture of it at the moment. It's a very pretty sort of little white picket fence type house, isn't it? And when was it? The history of it, something to do with it was James Wilson, who was a shoemaker, who owned it.
And his wife.
Yeah,
lived in the home.
Rose, and 8 children. Ouch. And then... Brave woman. And then in 1941, a Dr. McConnell bought the property. But it's still lived in, I believe.
No, it's not anymore. It's empty now. Right. But it's weird because of the history doesn't match the energy in that home.
Yeah. I mean, the look of it looks a really pretty little sort of, stereotypical white picket fence type house.
Yeah, and Harvey, our one of our guest speakers, he's been doing this forever, and he's never been scratched, but he was scratched for the first time in that house. We had stuff move. I mean, the energy is just very off and doesn't make sense to what actually happened in that town or in that house, which I find interesting. But, it's land, too. It's not just the structure. That's
what I was going to say. If the house wasn't built until kind of almost after the main boom of the gold thing, could it have been somebody lived in a property there that burnt down?
Yeah, I don't know what was there prior to. So, I should probably dig a little bit further and see what it was, and if there was something else there. So that's another really good location that we have. The Martinez house. First time I investigated was the last time I went up there.
See, the Martinez house has got a really funny, also, it says on the website, it's also referred to as the Biddle Bacon, Morgan Hale, Vassalosaurus, Martinez, Gawley house.
Wow.
I didn't memorise that. I was just looking at it on the website so I could have a look at the picture of it.
What was all that again?
I googled Martinez House, Columbia, California, right? And it says it's also referred to as the Biddle Bacon, Morgan Hale, Vassalosaurus, Martinez, Gawley house. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
That's the first time I've heard that.
It's on the website. I'm looking at it right now.
No, I believe you.
I find that quite... I mean, that's another very pretty white picket fence type house, isn't it?
Yeah, the energy's very different in there. We got a lot of stuff with, like, the dowsing rods and stuff. We got some good EVPs in there. When you go in that house, though, your equilibrium is just way off.
Right.
The kitchen, I think, was, like, one of the strongest areas in the home. You felt really nauseated and kind of dizzy. A lot of different, like, feelings throughout the whole home. And it's pretty good size, too. I think it's a little bit bigger than the Wilson McConnell house. But we've only been in there once. I haven't done too much history on that place yet. But the short time that we were in there, we did get quite a bit of activity. And I like it, too, because it really hasn't been investigated that much. And that's another reason why I do the locations that I do, too. I don't like to do the hot spots. I don't like to do the places that everyone's been to 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That changes the energy, you know, and it really changes the environment. So I like to do kind of the needle in the haystack type of locations because they're not ran through like crazy.
Like say they're still fresh. They haven't been, I call it overfished. A lot of places have been overfished. Yeah.
What else?
So we talked about the I can't remember what I called the Martinez house now, but I remember Morgan was in there, seeing as that's my married name. But and Vasily Martinez-y something or other. But so we've done the Wilson McConnell, we've done the fire stations, we've done the Martinez house. Now, something that was I'd never even thought about was in a lot of these mining towns, the population was predominantly male because a lot of the men sort of travelled from wherever their homes were, even American homes, on the promise that they were going to strike gold, they were going to make it rich and all of that, and it wasn't easy. Most of them didn't make it rich. In fact, very few of them did, who were actually trying to find gold, because the easy streams, the ones that they could literally get above surface, were mined very, very quickly, and it ended up they had to start going. It's quite dangerous work going underground. A lot of them didn't have the proper food. They suffered with scurvy because they didn't have vegetables or anything like that.
Right.
So, and a lot of them had to end up taking on female roles, like making dinner, doing the housework, cooking, cleaning, all of that kind of thing. So there was an awful lot of illness. There was an awful lot of disease. But when you get a lot of men in one place, there was a lot of crime.
A lot of crime.
Which leads me on to the courthouse. You mentioned the courthouse is one of the places.
Yeah, the courthouse, you know, and honestly, the courthouse is one of the quieter locations. Yeah, in Columbia. That, you know, the most profound piece of evidence that we actually got in the courthouse was last year's event. A really dear friend of ours passed away from cancer right before the event, and she promised she'd be there regardless. And she was. She came through to us, and we actually got her voice. She said it was her. She said that she loved us all. And it was just one of those moments that, you know, you'll remember, I will remember, and the other close friends of hers will remember for the rest of our lives. Yeah. That probably was the most profound thing that happened in that location. I don't know what other groups got that night in there, But that's what we got. And the second time that I went back recently, we didn't get a whole lot in there. I think maybe just a couple of EVPs.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the next time we go in that we won't get something different.
Yeah.
It just wasn't very active.
Okay. Did it have a jail room, like a jail attaching to it at all?
No, but
No?
there probably was back then. No, they didn't have a jail. That's what I noticed.
Oh, okay. That's unusual, because you'd have thought that's something they would have restored as part of the whole sort of living history.
You would think, yeah. I mean, because even like Hotel Leger, I mean, that acted as the hotel, the courthouse, and the jail. And the remnants of the jail are still there. So, but
and when you do
maybe...
Hotel Leger, do you pick up much there in the jail part?
Oh my gosh, that's probably one of the most active locations in the hotel. Yeah. Actually, the last tour that I did there, because now, you know, the space is used for like events and like parties and stuff. So there was some stemware on this back shelf, and we were getting a lot of activity, and we had one of those laser grids against the wall, because there's a lot of shadow play on that back wall. And I was setting something up, and they're like, oh my God, the glass is moving. And I'm like, what? So I ran over there, and you can legit see this glass moving a few inches back and forth either way. So, and we're all like 20 people are in this room, and we're watching this glass move back and forth.
And there's nothing that would be causing a vibration from the wall, or there's nothing?
Nothing. It's a brick wall.
Right.
Nothing. I mean, we went over there. There was, absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I'm just like, holy crap. And it was cool because to do a tour like that and have like people who have never investigated or been on an investigation, like to experience something like that, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And everybody left there with that experience, which I love, you know. Wow. But the spirits at Leger, it's like they know me so well. It's almost like they like to come out and communicate and show that they're there.
Yeah. Because
every single time we're there, we get amazing stuff.
And Leger is a hotel in a gold mining town, very similar to Columbia.
Yeah, Mollicomie Hill, actually, I would say the history there, I mean, like I was telling you earlier, I mean, it was bloodier and more deadly than Deadwood and Tombstone combined.
Yeah.
17 weeks straight, 1 man a week was murdered. I think 1 week there was 5 men in 1 week. Joaquin Marietta frequented that place a lot. He spent a lot of time between Columbia and Mollicomie Hill, actually. Right. And you know, there was just so much because it was lawless. I mean, they didn't have anything there to prevent from all the crime happening. And the town itself was probably one of the wealthiest ghost mining towns, not ghost mining, gold mining towns in California.
Yeah.
So it was very rich, very, very rich history.
I mean, this is where a lot of the whole sort of Wild West side of thing came from, though, isn't it? This whole sort of imagining men sort of guns at dawn and all of that kind of thing. And when you look at photos of some of the timber built buildings in Columbia, you can see that whole sort of stereotypical Wild West thing. And
it still has that feel. Like when you walk in there, it's like you're stepping into that time.
Because when I look at the sort of the Wells Fargo building, which I know you mentioned is one of the ones that people will get to investigate. The reason I said Wells Fargo is a bank is some of the people over here in the UK, we don't have Wells Fargo in the UK, so that's why I mentioned it was one of the banks. And I think Wells Fargo probably became one of the richest corporations because of the gold rush, because the amount of people that had to take loans out to try and dig for gold and never repaid their loans back, in effect. So that they lost everything to the bank, and that's one of the reasons Wells Fargo did become as big as it did, because it saw that business opportunity. Hey, it's business at the end of the day. They were doing a job.
Right.
But, I'm not judging them. But is that building very active?
Yes, we did. We actually got quite a bit of activity in there. Back end of it, when you walk in from the back, it has this big staircase. And the first time we weren't able to go upstairs, but the second time I came there, they let us go up there. But we put a REM pod on the stairs, and it started going off like crazy, like nothing I've ever experienced before from the REM pod. And we're like, this is really weird. Mm-hmm. And you hear somebody running down the stairs. Mm-hmm. And we're like, what the heck, And then they ran back up the stairs. So there was a lot of movement, a lot of hits on our equipment in that building. We got some pretty phenomenal EVPs the first run, and then when I went back with a smaller group of people, the ranger actually let us go upstairs, which was a lot more of a building. And we were standing at the top of the stairs. It was me and two other people, and we were taking a picture of something, and the pictures were like, we were getting like a lot of stuff in the photos, and then before you knew it, like something rushed up on us and like pulled my friend's pocket, and like we all felt it. And it was me and two males, and they screamed. So, I mean, like, and it just, I mean, it happened so quickly, but, you feel that energy right there, and it's just like, it startles you. And we had that happen. So that was the same night that it happened at the fire station, too. So the spirits there definitely are not shy about, like, coming up to you, because we experienced that a couple of times. I also saw what had to have been a doppelganger, because so a friend of mine went outside, but I didn't know she went outside. And I was talking to somebody else, and the friend that was outside, I saw her like walk into the other room. Yeah. And then she walked away, but she didn't go outside. She went into another area. And I'm like, and I'm calling her, and she's not responding. So I'm like, where's Casey? And they're like, she's outside. So I go outside, and she's like in front of the building, because this was in the back part of it. She was outside in the front talking to somebody, and she had been out there for like 10 minutes. So I thought that was very interesting too, because it was her. I mean, it was wearing what she was wearing. It was her body. I mean, it was everything. And I'm just like, that was really crazy. And I've only experienced that a few times. So that was a really cool experience. Yeah.
Because a lot of these buildings, like, I mean, it's a big building, isn't it? The Wells Fargo. It wouldn't have just been the bank. It would have been things like the stagecoach drop off, I suppose, things like that. It could have been an office for something else as well. They would have leased out parts of it. So you may have had that kind of sense of, especially a stagecoach type business, you would have had that sense of expediency and sort of rushing up and down stairs and all that kind of thing if the stage was due in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good sized building, because in the back part of it too, like, it kind of branches out more to the left. You can't see that from the front of the building, but so yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big space. And unfortunately, the first time we did the event, we only had a very small area of it. So we'll be getting more of the location for this next time, the upstairs and the other room. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, the activity there is just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. It definitely sounds it. So we've looked at the fire stations, we've looked at the Martinez house, we've looked at the Wilson McConnell house, we've looked at the courthouse, we've looked at Wells Fargo, we've got the 2 hotels. Now, when you look at the sheer the number of people that were coming to these places, I mean, when you look at San Francisco, for example, that was the Golden Gate, was the gateway for people coming in to Gold Rush. I call it Gold Rush County, but country. But you know that was where a lot of people came in from. In 1 year, they went up from 800 people being registered in San Francisco to 25,000. So you know that alone, you can see the kind of numbers that were increasing by, and I couldn't find the actual numbers that were in Colombia in, say, 1857 before it started to really wind down. But I found it the other way round, that between the 1870s and the 1880s, the population of Colombia went from 6,000 down to 500. So that sort of ratio shows you the amount of people that would have been living there. And people need, even though they probably didn't have much leisure time because they didn't have the money for it, they would have still needed leisure time. They would have wanted to drink. And as I said before, it was predominantly male. So some of the women's role in there would have been possibly in the hotels and saloons.
There's actually another house that's there that was the
brothel.
Brothel, yeah. We were able to go in there, but it's pretty dilapidated. It's not really safe for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But we did get to go in there briefly. And it was actually quite small, which I was kind of surprised by. Mm-hmm. But they did have a brothel, and numerous places to drink, of course. And then that's basically what they do with their time and gamble.
Yeah.
But yeah, the brothel was interesting. The energy in there was quite interesting too. We didn't get to spend too much time in there because the floors weren't very stable. But you definitely felt something in there.
What do you mean by the energy was interesting?
It was just off. Like, and I think I felt a lot of like desperation, and some sadness. It was just different than what I mean, I guess that would make sense. And I think also it plays into like the fact that it was falling apart and everything was everywhere. And when you're in a place that's kind of in disarray, you get a wide spectrum of feeling and not really being able to concentrate on one. Yeah. On one of them.
I'm going to ask you a question now. This is going to sound really wrong the way I'm going to ask it, but I can't actually think of any other way. Have you ever been into a brothel before?
No, I've never even been in a strip club. So
I've got to ask it, but that...
Never, not me.
I was actually going to say, as part of your investigation to some of these sort of towns like Leger and everything else, you know, all these mining towns had a brothel. It was kind of de rigueur,
right?
Just keep the men happy. And I just wondered if you'd ever visited one that had been used as one before, and if you'd got energies from. I
mean, like I've been in ones like that. Yes, nothing like that's currently in use for that matter. But
I didn't mean one that is currently in use, my love.
Okay, that's kind of how I took it. I was like, well, no. Maybe the Bunny Ranch in Reno. I mean, that's kind of the closest thing to that. No. I mean, but the thing is, too, a lot of them, you know, were part of the hotels. So, yes. Some of the ones that I've come into, you know, contact with that used to be the brothel, you know, or places that we weren't able to investigate. Right. But, yeah, I mean, I guess yes would be the better answer for that. Now that I understand the question better, sorry.
I was thinking how to word it, and I was just thinking, I don't know how to word this. But I was just wondering if the vibe you got from, I can't think now. Oh, Christ, come on, be professional. Come on. The vibe you got from the one in Colombia was any similarity to any that you got from any of the other sort of what I'd call Wild West establishments?
I think that is probably a pretty general vibe, just in that type of place in general. I mean, not even just like the brothel itself, but you have to think about all the desperation and sadness and things that people went through at that time, because life definitely wasn't easy.
No.
And everybody was just trying to get some money and to be able to live and you know. So I think that's probably a pretty common vibe, you know.
Okay. And yeah, I wasn't insinuating you went into modern day brothels on a regular basis.
Yeah, right. No,
I'm not one of them. You know I'm not one of them. I'm not one of those people. But yeah, I can't even think straight now. I can't even think what I was going to say next. So these hotels, but they would have had... all right, I'll tell you, this will make you laugh at me, right? When I was younger, and I'm talking like 5 or 6, and you'd watch like the Wild Western films on television, I used to tell my mum, I wanted...
Just kidding.
See, that's why they like you at Leger. They're waiting for you to give them some of the girls. Sorry.
Yeah, they're like, where are they?
Yeah,
so maybe you were too. That's why you were so attracted to it. No, but I get it though.
It did take
me. They're pretty and
yeah, and they had hair done, and they had nice clothes, and I was like 5 or 6. I didn't understand what prostitution was at that age.
No, definitely not.
And let's face it, on the Wild Westerns, the men didn't smell and everything else. They were handsome, and they were like outlaws and stuff, and you were meant to almost look up to them. Anyway, yes, so... Now we've had a giggle attack and we digress. So the hotels, what are they like?
They're good. The Fallon Hotel was actually on the show. Now I can't think of the name of the show with John Zappis. What was the name of the show?
Is he haunted? No, he's not haunted.
Haunted Collector.
Yes. He is Haunted Collector. Yeah.
Sorry. And when they went there, they went into the room that most of the energy happens. I think it's in room 1 and 2, and they are, I believe, in room 1. And they have the camera set up, and they're doing the show, and you see the comforter on the bed rise, like get pulled up from in the middle.
Wow!
So it like caves up, and then it was dropped down. And so I always thought that was interesting. And before I'd even seen that episode, I think it was before that episode even aired, I stayed in, which room was it? I think it was room 1. I stayed in room 2, and it's got a double, 2 beds, and then like a rocking chair. And we're setting up, it's like daytime, and we're like discussing like where we're going to put the cameras and how we're going to do it. And you hear this loud bang, and then the rocking chair starts shaking or rocking back and forth. And we're all just looking at each other like, are you serious? Like, it's the middle of the day, we haven't even started yet. If this is how it's going to be right now, like, can you imagine what it's going to be like tonight? And it was pretty good. In room 1, where they had that in the movie or on the TV show, we got a lot of EVPs, a lot of shadow play in there. It was mainly those 2 rooms, and the parlor downstairs was quite active as well. We didn't do too much work in the other rooms in the hotel, but the downstairs area, we got a lot of EVPs, K2 hits, REM pod hits. Mind you, I don't really rely on those pieces of equipment for evidence because there's so many things that can set those off. Yeah. But it was kind of corresponding to EVPs that we were getting and like what we were feeling in the room. So we got a lot of activity at the Fallon, at the City Hotel. I've only investigated the upstairs sitting area, and then downstairs in the restaurant area, which is phenomenal. I mean, my friend actually looks like the guy in the photo, and that was from back in that time. And he showed himself to him. He got it on camera, actually. It scared him. I mean, he was just like, "No, I'm done." Like,
it's almost like something out of The Shining, isn't it? The Stanley.
Yeah.
It's the Stanley, isn't it? Is it the
Stanley Hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in that picture when they see the picture of the ballroom thing. Yeah.
I'll send it to you when we get off the phone. You'll see what I'm talking about. Cool. It's amazing. Okay. And the guy actually, he killed himself, which is really sad. There's been quite a few suicides in Colombia.
Isn't there, Jess? I'm noticing that.
Yeah.
There's a pattern.
Yeah. And the upstairs area, we got some stuff like on the ghost box. We had an interesting Ouija board session. And that was about it. We didn't spend too much time in the City Hotel. But I have heard that there's quite a bit of stuff that happens there. And then we also have the old schoolhouse, but I've never investigated it myself. It's kind of something it's harder to get into. So I don't know too much about that place. So it'll be nice because it'll be something we've never done, which are my favorites. So,
so from what other people have told you, which would you say is the most active part at Columbia?
I would personally say the McConnell House is probably the most active.
Okay. And can
you get it all there?
Can you get near to any of the mine shafts or where the mining took place?
No, they have they have an area where some of the mining was that you could go and see like as a tourist like type thing. But it's very small. It's just like some rocks really. So no, there's no access to any of that.
Right. So why do you think then these mining towns, like you're saying Columbia, you're saying the one where Leger is and all why do you think they're so active?
I think
I'm not going to hold you to this because obviously this is just conjecture, but why do you think they're so active?
I think because a lot of the violence. I think because of a lot of the death. You had a lot of illness. People didn't live very long in those days. All the accidents. Just like in Washoe, like by the Washoe and Virginia City,
Which I'm talking about next week, actually.
Yeah, the miners' cabin there. I think 69 men died in the shaft because it caught fire and they all got stuck down there. And their bodies were never erected either. So I think it's so much death and all of that. It just, that energy imprints.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of intelligent responses too. So maybe some are stuck there. I think it's just a combination of everything that happened there. Just like really puts a huge imprintation of the energy of what was once there.
I just wonder if some of them are still there trying to find the mother lode. They're trying to find.
They probably are, because maybe they don't even realize that they're dead.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens a lot too. And I think that's why we get a lot of spirits that stay behind, because they don't even know. They don't even know that they're not here.
Yeah. I mean, mining has always been dangerous. It always will be dangerous, even with the modern sort of safety procedures you can take now. You just never know what can happen. But it is quite sort of, you know, back then when you had people who weren't even miners by trade, who hadn't even, you know, they were doing it because they wanted to try and make it rich. Digging underground for stuff they really didn't have a clue what they were doing. It was an accident waiting to happen. And you're right, a lot of them did. You know, they didn't actually die necessarily from mining accidents. I think one of the most common things I read about that was cause of death in sort of places like Colombia was dysentery. You know, it was the fact that they were drinking stagnant water, and a lot of them weren't eating properly, but they were still working 13, 14, 15 hours a day mining for gold.
Exactly.
And they literally worked themselves to death. So. Yeah, and and the suicides, as you mentioned as well, that probably leaves an imprint on.
Oh yeah, definitely, and a lot of these places you get that a lot too. But yeah, I mean, you have there's so many factors, I mean, and all the violence and the 17 deaths, you know, murders in 17 weeks, you know, that's got to leave something behind.
yeah, definitely. Well, it sounds fascinating, and it's great to see that history is being made to come alive for people. And it's great that, you know, using the paranormal thing, you're opening up the history for people who may not realise what a bevy of information there is for them if they just walk through the door, sort of thing. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So, is there anything else about the event you'd like to mention whilst you're on air? How do people get tickets if they can come?
People get tickets, PayPal. I can send you the link. You can post it for them if you want to do that. Lost Souls, inv.org. You can buy the tickets on there. You can find me on Facebook as well. There's a Lost Souls Investigations Facebook page too.
Okay, wonderful. So what else have you got coming up? I mean, I know you're pretty busy with Netflix and with this. And have you got any new places you're going to be investigating soon?
You know, I haven't been doing too much investigating. I haven't had time, unfortunately. But I'm doing another event called Scary Movie, horror movie and investigation, basically at the Washoe Club in October the 6th, with Eric Knapp. So we'll play a horror movie down in the museum. Get the energy kind of going, and then we'll go in for a full night's investigation. So that will be fun.
Have you decided which film you're going to play?
No, we're going to do a poll, see what people want. Probably stick to something a little bit more like the Conjuring type of movie.
Okay.
Yeah, get the flow going, get people's minds a little, you know. I like to add a little something extra when I do things and make it a little different.
Well, you are the Queen of Darkness.
I am. I can't help it. Horror movies have been my thing since I was a little girl. I think I wanted to be a scream queen by the age of 6. So, you know.
Born to do it.
Yes. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much. I know you've not been very well, so thank you sort of so much for sticking with us, Tammy, and telling us all about Colombia and, you know, the history side and what the event's going to... It does sound brilliant, so if anyone is in Western America or in Northern California, I suppose you call it, January of next year, and you want to do something a bit different, go along. Sounds like it would be a brilliant event.
Definitely.
And if I can get my plane fare out there, I'll give you a shout. You never know.
Okay, definitely.
If Santa Claus brings me a plane ticket over Christmas.
See, perfect timing. Tell your husband what you want for Christmas.
Yeah. I think that might be pushing it. Might be pushing it this time around. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, Tammy. I've really, really appreciated it. I'm sure we'll be speaking again at some point, because I want to hear all about Leger now, seeing as
yes,
I want to hear all about that.
That's a whole nother show.
Next year, I think we're going to have to get you back on next year, and we'll talk about Leger. Because the other one I want to talk about is it the Preston School? Preston Reformatory School?
Castle. Yeah, it's a pretty amazing location too. I've investigated there a handful of times.
That's another one that's on my to-do list for next year. So we will get there again. We will be talking again, even when you're a famous TV star.
No.
But if anyone does want to contact Tammy, we'll post up the links for Lost Souls so that you can drop her a line and find out more about the event and more about what they do, or any messages you want to send her. Please feel free to send them through to Parasearch, and we'll forward them on to her. But on that note, it's been a great evening. Thanks for listening to the show on Colombia and the gold mines of Northern California. As always, look forward to speaking to you again and hearing from you all next week. But in the meantime, have a good evening, sleep tight, and don't worry too much about things that go bump in the night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.